My boss pulled my promotion after 15 years of hard work saying, "You're not VP material. Be grateful for the experience we gave you." So I took a competitor's VP offer. 2 days later, everything blew up. 15 years. That's how long I gave them. I was the first one in and the last one out. I built their proprietary logistics engine from a spreadsheet and a prayer. I stayed through the 2018 crash when the CEO, Arthur, cried in my office because he couldn't meet payroll. I took a 50% pay cut for 6 months to save the team. Yesterday, it was finally time. The senior VP of operations role was open. It was mine. Everyone knew it. I walked into Arthur's office expecting a handshake. Instead, I saw a stranger sitting in the leather chair next to him. A 29-year-old consultant named Marcus with a blindingly white smile and a degree from a school his daddy bought. Arthur didn't even look me in the eye. "We've decided to go with Marcus for the SVP role," Arthur said, clicking a pen over and over. "He has the vision we need for the next decade." The air left my lungs. "Arthur, I've run this department for 15 years. I grew our margin by 22% last year alone." Arthur finally looked up, his face hardening into that cold corporate mask. "You're a great worker, David, a real soldier. But honestly, you're just not VP material. You lack the it factor. You're too deep in the weeds. Frankly, you should be grateful for the experience and the stability we've given you all these years. Most people don't last 5. Be grateful." That was the spark. The moment the loyalty I had nurtured for over a decade turned into a cold, black sludge in my veins. "I see," I said. My voice was eerily calm. "I appreciate the feedback." "Good man," Arthur said, already turning back to Marcus. "Now I'll need you to spend the next 2 weeks onboarding Marcus. Show him the back-end architecture. The weeds, as you call it." I smiled. It was the first honest smile I'd given him in years. Of course, anything for the company. I walked out, went to my desk, and opened a private browser. I didn't look at job boards. I didn't need to. I called the one man Arthur feared, Sterling, the CEO of our primary competitor, Apex Logistics. Sterling had been trying to headhunt me for 3 years. "Sterling," I said when he picked up, "is that VP of strategy offer still on the table?" "For you?" "Always," Sterling rasped. "What changed?" "I'm ready to bring the vision," I said. I signed the contract via DocuSign 10 minutes later. Then I went back into our server. See, Arthur forgot one thing. I didn't just manage the weeds. I planted them. Our entire logistics framework relied on a series of legacy scripts I wrote personally. They weren't company property in the traditional sense. They were personal optimization tools, hosted on my private cloud that the company's API merely borrowed to function. It was a handshake agreement from the early days that never got codified into my employment contract. I didn't delete anything. That would be illegal. I simply revoked the access tokens. I spent the next 48 hours being the loyal soldier. I walked Marcus through the surface level UI. I nodded when he talked about synergy and disruptive paradigms. I was a ghost. Friday at 4:59 p.m., I walked into Arthur's office. I didn't knock. I placed my badge and my company laptop on his desk. "What's this?" Arthur asked, frowning. "My resignation. Effective immediately." Arthur laughed, a short, sharp arc. "You're throwing a tantrum over the promotion?" "David, be reasonable. You have no leverage. You'll be back in a week begging for your manager's salary." "I start at Apex on Monday," I said quietly, "as vice president, with a 30% equity stake." Arthur's face went pale, then purple. "You signed a non-compete, which is unenforceable in this state for my specific role. My lawyer vetted it months ago, just in case." I turned to leave. "Wait!" Arthur shouted. "The regional delivery batch runs at midnight. Marcus doesn't have the override codes for the API lag." I paused at the door. I didn't turn around. "That's the thing about being VP material, Arthur. You're supposed to have the vision to see these things coming. I'm sure Marcus can figure it out." I went home. I poured a glass of 16-year-old scotch. I turned off my phone. At 2:07 a.m., my doorbell started ringing. Then my personal iPad started screaming with notifications. The everything blew up part wasn't an exaggeration. Without my private tokens, the API couldn't authenticate the routing servers. All 300 delivery trucks across the East Coast were sitting idle at the hubs. The drivers couldn't log in. The clients, Amazon, Target, Walmart, were getting 404 error messages on their tracking portals. They were losing roughly $400,000 every hour. I didn't answer the door. Monday morning, I walked into the Apex headquarters. I had a corner office that looked directly across the street into Arthur's building. I could see the news vans outside his lobby. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Arthur. "David, please, the board is threatening to fire me. We'll give you the SVP role. We'll double the salary. Just fix the link." I sipped my coffee, looking at the chaos across the street. I thought about the 15 years of soldiering. I thought about being told to be grateful. I typed back a single sentence. "I'm sorry, Arthur, but I'm just too deep in the weeds for that now." I blocked the number and turned to my first meeting. It was time to show them what real vision looked like.